Good evening, everybody. My name is James Luck. I'm here to present a class on basic Japanese and whatever you probably know already if you took a class or if you haven't yet. So let's start with the real beginning of Japanese. They have two scripts. Technically, they have three scripts, but two of them are the main ones you learn when you first start off. There's hiragana and katakana. Hiragana is for all the Japanese words and whatever Japanese compounds that they want to say or use. They'll use hiragana. Katakana is for all the foreign words that Japanese or Japan adapts into their language. Like soccer is saka, or basketball is basketball. Or if you shorter, they contract it and say basket. And like to make everything really short, like McDonald's, McDonald's. Sorry.
McDonald's.
So they say that, or they contract it again and say Maku. Super simple. Or Starbucks. And
Starbucks.
Just three simple characters. Or smartphone is smartphone. And if they want to contract it, it goes smaho.
Smaho.
Interesting.
So that's what they do with foreign words they take in. There's 46 in total that you should or need to memorize to be, sort of be able to read language. Next is...
Can we start with questions?
Yeah, go ask questions.
So 46 is hiragana and katakana together?
Yes, there's 23 each.
Those 23 same pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, can I get some context? Are you fluent in Japanese?
Oh, I forgot. So, let me start over
Is
this.
that not obvious?
It's a smartphone three
McDonald's.
He's making sure you heard it.
I'm not super fluent in Japanese, but I've been studying formally for about a year and a half. I chose to make that my major after I pretty much failed out of math and engineering for science classes. I was like, it's not my thing to do. So I thought just something maybe a little easier on me because it's not math and equations that I need to memorize. It's just talking to people that I need to do and reading books. So
how did the katakana, did it grow from 1 to 23, or is it just somebody said 23?
So to go in the history of hiragana and katakana, it comes from kanji actually, actual Chinese characters that they would use before. They created this, I don't remember how long ago, but...
Who's they, the government or the university?
I would just say with the government, historically the government, they wanted to have a unified language and unified writing system. So before, I don't know if you guys know, they used Chinese characters first. Everything was in full Chinese characters. They would have to, but they had their own way of reading it. Sometimes it would have the same way of reading it or different. It just depends on how it's compounded with other kanji or other characters next to it.
Up to what year did they switch over from Chinese to whatever?
I would have to make my best guess.
Your best guess,
Edo period, so maybe 700s.
Oh wow, okay, so
It's not
a long time.
It's pretty old, but China's just older.
And then the katakana script came about kind of naturally, or?
It probably came out naturally. You can sort of see some similarities in most of them, or some of them. Like the he and key look pretty much the same. This is a pointer too.
Yeah.
So how do you know which? Oh my. How do you know which ones are hiragana or katakana?
I think it's the simple one. The simple one's katakana.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So it goes hiragana, katakana, and then English pronunciation for us.
Oh.
You can't
So
see
the only
it
difference
closer.
is the written?
Written and the meaning behind the word.
Oh,
So Japanese people only use the first two. The last one is made for foreigners, typically Americans.
what's the last one? Which is the last one?
The third row.
Third row.
I sure it's
The Latin
pointer.
letters.
Oh, well, duh.
That's pointer.
Huh?
You said it's a pointer?
Yeah, you had it at first.
You
Yeah,
just
you-
pointed it. You did earlier.
Oh!
Well,
Oh, it might not work on the screen.
oh, it's reflecting onto my eyes.
I'm blind.
Where'd you go?
Turn the lights back.
Alright, so that's pretty
What's
easy.
it Okay, alright.
Okay, so
Stupid.
what was I? So I got questions.
Nah, I thought that was.
Okay.
for that thing song.
Alright, so next is using special markers just above on the top right of the characters to change the sounds or what sound you want to make or should make to pronounce the word properly. They only have 5 by 5, so 25 special ways to adjust some words. And there's a set amount of characters you can change, which is the ka, sa, ta, ha, and ha again.
Oh yeah. Just put a circle.
Yeah, so the only one that's a circle is the ha section, which makes it a P sound instead. So instead of ha, it'd be pop. If you have the circle on top left one. Top left.
Can you go through that top row again? On like, it sounds different?
It sounds different. So if I go back, so it's kakikukeko, right?
Okay.
Fast, man. You're gonna slow down a little bit, but
It goes kakikukeko, and then for this one it goes gagikugego.
Ah.
If I go back, it's sa, shi, su, se, so. This one goes za, ji, zu, ze, zo.
Okay.
Makes
Is
it
there any relation from left to right? On this diagram?
not really. It's just how they organize their characters. It goes a, i, u, e, o down this way, and then on the going
those are the vowels.
that way, they just add a consonant.
Where'd they get that idea from?
I don't know, dude.
Why do you assume they got vowels and consonants? Do
But
they have vowels and consonants?
yeah, these are the vowels in I, U, E, O.
Okay.
I mean, you can correlate it that way.
Are
So
there any
it's easier.
languages that don't have vowels?
Jesus.
Anyways.
Maybe
Get all defensive.
I don't know. But if it's easier to memorize, these are the vowels in Japanese, and then if you go left to right or right to left, however you want to do it, that's the consonants they add on. So a, ka, sa, ta, na, ha, ma, ya, ra, wa, it's just special. It's just they need to put it somewhere. So they put it there at the very end.
Oh.
But generally, if you know I, U, E, O, you can just go down the list and you'll have all the words that you need. And same for I, U, E, O.
Oh, that's why it's.
And then let's see. Then the next one is the ta, chi, su, te, to. It'd be da, ji, zu, de, do. But usually you don't use these two. These are for special words.
Such as?
Like.
One of my teachers said was hemorrhoids, I think.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't remember.
Very
what it is.
special.
Is
Hemorrhoids?
there a category, or is it just special?
It's just special words. Like there's a lot of exceptions, like in English or many languages in general. There's exceptions to the rules.
Yeah.
So that's just one of them that I remember because it's very out there.
So what's the word for hemorrhoids?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't think she knows, but she's like, this is the word for hemorrhoids.
Hi, my name is hemorrhoids.
So, and then the next one is the ha, he, hu, he, ho. But you just add the 2 marks, we call it 10, which is the quotation marks. Makes it ba, bi, bu, be, bo. And then you add the circle, which is the only one that hits the circle, is ha, he, hu, bo. And then, so there's a special sounds you can make when you're trying to, when you need to say a certain word, for example, the word for homework is shukudai. There's no shu sound or in the alphabet, right?
Oh.
No shu sound, because it goes sashi, su, se, so. So what you do is, or what they do, is they have the first one that sounds like it, like she, and then they combine it with the next sound that will make it into what you want, sha or shu. So they would put a small u on the next to it, so it makes a shu sound when you read it.
Interesting.
Oh, what did they add? The little
So
thing
yeah,
U.
right here.
Oh, okay. So when you're reading it, you just know that those two characters are together.
Yeah, because usually when you read it, in Japanese reading, it's
Oh, it's tops to bottoms.
Huh?
Oh, sorry.
it,
No, isn't it? Never mind.
it's typically easy to read Japanese if you're just reading just the alphabet like this, because every alphabet has its own distinct syllable. Not like in English, you have all these silent vowels, silent consonants, you have all these random things coming out. But it's really straightforward if it's not Chinese characters in it. And then if you see a small, a super small character next to it, like so, you just know to contract the two sounds together.
So
So like Japanese is like phonetic, like you can read it with like just looking at the characters.
Yes.
Oh,
That makes
man, that is good.
Special sounds. Did you say special? It's like,
Yeah, that's the best I come with, like wording at
It's
least.
like no standard rule, I guess.
Well, there's a standard pattern. You see how it goes only he, she. It goes over the like e's section for like the ones that have 10-10 or the maru.
What does 10-10 do?
10-10.
It's the two markings.
I don't know what is it.
It just
It
changes.
the sound, right?
Yeah, it's all changes the sound.
How does it change the sound?
So kakikukeko, and if you add 10-10 to it, it's gagikukeko,
Okay, so that's
a G sound.
Okay.
It really is.
my question,
This earlier, bro.
I would go.
Like 2 minutes ago. You're telling me to pay attention. You're not paying attention.
I'm asking questions that shows I'm paying attention.
But we really, to know this is really just memorization. It's like the alphabet in English. 26 letters you have to memorize. It's just a memorization thing after that.
Does Japan student have to know both?
Everybody needs to know about it. If they don't know one, they don't know the language.
I go order McDonald's.
Oh, at this point.
I go to the mafu.
So what's just curious, what sound is the maru at?
Well, it depends
That's
on
a
what it's
circle,
on.
right?
Yeah, the circle. Maru just means circle in Japanese. That's all it means.
Oh, okay.
And
Where's
you
the
know,
Rochi maru?
it's just a
Hey man,
it's just a nameless thing actually.
My favorite question for the end, bro.
that's like a basic, that's my basic Japanese knowledge, bro, so I'm asking a question.
Really, that's the mythology. It's just the name of a snake deity that like ravaged
See,
the
I
animal.
didn't know that, thank you. See?
Could ask at the end, bro.
I think that's what I remember.
That makes a lot of sense, see?
Of course.
It adds meaning to knowledge.
But the modern one, just that out of the entire alphabet, only ka, sa, ta, ha, you have those special markers that change the sound. Everything else doesn't. So that's one way that you can remember it too. That only these four, technically, four like alphabetical characters can change the sound. The only exception is ha can be changed twice. To ba, to b sounds and p sounds. Right. So yeah, just read the English one. I like it. I just memorize it really fast. And then if you correlate to that, it's actually just that they change the sound of the words that only add like 10-10 or the mothers to it. The only exception is for foreign words. There's special sounds that Japanese people cannot make because they don't have that in their language. So they modified it with katakana, and they change it where you can add all kinds of special weird ways to combine readings. Like for party, it'd be pate, but they don't have that special sound here, but they just make it up to make it like sound like it phonetically.
Huh.
I don't have an example of that piece. I forgot.
So there's 46 characters, they're like pretty much any combination now, right? So
Well, there's 46 characters. There's this many combinations, and then yeah, you can say there's infinite amount of
So
combinations.
there's not going to be like, some random language that Japanese can't pronounce anymore.
No.
Right? So it's
No.
going to be pretty cool.
Like the Japanese language takes in a lot of different words from different languages. Like in German, they took the word for part-time job, Aribaito. I don't know how to say it in German, but that's a German word they took. It's not an American word, I know that, or English word.
Japanese people are hardworking. They have to take another language's word for part-time.
Yeah. That's so funny one. That's a funny one.
Because the thing is, in the Japanese language, they have, like most languages, they're all growing, evolving still. Like in English, there's a lot of new slang that comes up. It's the same in Japanese, except they don't sometimes, they like to hear from other languages too, because it might be easier or shorter to say than the full like thing they have to say. And, oh, you guys all good with this, I guess? You don't memorize it probably.
Yeah, just don't worry.
I'm still running.
Okay, so basic instructions of Japanese grammar, like the super main one everyone should know is that they're the opposite of English. When I say that is like English is subject verb object, right? Like I ran for the bus.
Yep.
But in Japanese, what?
I was agreeing.
But in Japanese, it's actually subject object verb. It would be I bus ran. I don't know how to much to remember. It's opposite of English for the last two. Subject, object, verb.
Can you say I ran the bus?
Remember those? Yeah, but in Japanese.
Can you say I ran the bus?
I ran for the bus.
Or my bus ran?
A bus ran. It's like, sure, bus ni hashi.
Can you say it the wrong way? Yeah.
The wrong way, like in Japanese.
Like in English.
Like-
Like in English, but with Japanese words.
It'd be, what was it? 私は走った。You won't sound proper either. But you could say it, but they would know you're not native. Because the thing in Japanese, everything is based off particles too. So I don't know if you guys know what particles are in English. I don't know if like
Kind of, not really. Can you refresh our memory?
particles are like, to the English equivalent, it'd be saying how you did something for something. So, like, I went with my friend. That's short like sentence right now. I went with my friend. In Japanese, that would have the subject, particle, and then another subject, and then the stop there because that's all you did. But you could flip it around, saying move particles around with the subject in any order, and it would make sense to a degree in Japanese still. So, I'm sure the particles. I don't know if it makes sense to you guys right now, but particles are important in Japanese because they let you know what you're doing to the object or subject you're going to talk about.
Is it better or worse than English? Like, does the Japanese language, is it more descriptive when you say things, or how would you say it?
I would say it's less descriptive actually, because to a degree, if you listen to English speakers, you need to listen to everything to understand the full picture of what they want to say. Like if you only heard the last part of a sentence, you'd be wondering, what did you say before? But in Japanese, if you're in the conversation already, you heard the context already, and they omit something, and they only use like the last part, the conversation will still flow very easily because they know what's the implied subject. So,
How do you know it's implied subject?
because in their everyday life, what they do is they omit subjects and words and everything all the time because they just want to go like that and say stuff.
So, how would you describe you ran for the bus? They will omit the word bus.
Well, if it's already implied that that the bus is there and they're asking what you do, then you just say,
I ran?
yeah, I ran. You would do it in English too if they knew what you were talking about at first.
Okay.
Oh, I can't think of it right now, but a couplet is the very last part of a sentence, and the basic couplet is des or deshita, and I wrote it in the order that I did. So using tenses, deshita is past tense, deshita is past tense. Present tense and future tense is des, because there's no actual future tense in Japanese like English, such as the ing words that we use. So if you were saying like, I'm going to run, you would just stop at something des, and they would either know you're doing it now, or you're doing it in the future. Because if you don't do it now, it's always going to be the future. But if you use deshita, that's the past tense, so they'll know you've done it already. And then, in general, des or deshita words or sentence enders are usually for nouns, subjects, or just not verbs. That's how I understood it at least. For verbs, they use a different ending, but it's mashita and mas. It's just a little change with just the first character change to ma instead of de. But mashita and mas are usually for verbs. That's a little pattern in Japanese that I figured out after talking to friends about it. Any questions about those three things? Okay. So another basic sentence structure in Japanese that you'll probably use a lot if you when you say hi to anybody, it'd be noun, or like subject, plus wa, plus the adjective or verb you want to use, plus des or mas, depending on what you want to say. So like, watashi means I, so I'll say watashi wa, and then I'll say my name, James des. That means my name is James. Super simple. You wouldn't say watashi wa James deshita. That doesn't make sense. Because you weren't someone else in the past. Unless you know you were, I don't know.
It's so challenging.
Wait, what did you say? Watashi?
Shall we practice? Let's make one and say his name.
What is watashi again?
That's
So even in that sentence, you're saying I James.
yes, it's literally I am James. I James is a very direct
That translation,
yes.
right. So that's another particle that it's like omitting. That's an example of a particle that's omitting. Right, because you're saying like am is being omitted, right? You're saying,
In English, it is.
right.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So in my case, that'd be watashi wa boden desu.
Yes. Perfect.
So wa is just a filler word
Right, yeah, I'm curious what
that
means.
divides the
Yeah.
subject and verb.
Alright, peace out, man.
Figure it out, but we learned something.
Okay, I'm gonna say bye. I'm gonna say bye, man.
Huh?
Oh yeah, how do you say bye?
Jamata.
Jamata.
Goodbye, everyone. See you next time.
I'll be fluent in Japanese by the time you come back.
We'll see.
Fluent. Wow.
But, so the particles are really both hard and easy in Japanese. So when you first learn, you learn like 3 particles. You learn wa, you might learn ga, and then you'll learn ni or to. They all have a specific function for the grammar. The difference is that when you go into nitty-gritty of it, you can use whatever particle you want as long as you know how to make sense of it. As in, you know how to use it properly in the sentence, or properly when you're speaking. Because in colloquial speaking, like when you're speaking to someone that's native, they'll probably drop a lot of articles because it's implied that you both know it. So when you ask for like what wa is, if you go to like the linguistic level, it's to describe something ambiguously. Where there's another object you compare it to, which is sort of weird if you hear it from me now. Right? I don't know if you guys understood that.
Kind of.
Because like when you use wa, it could mean, for this example, it could mean that you're trying to compare yourself to something else as well. Like, you could be this, you're probably this, but there's a chance that you're not this too.
So so you're not certain you're James?
To an extent, yes, because it's a disambiguous particle.
Yeah, your name could have been anything.
You wouldn't use God either because it doesn't sound proper, it just doesn't sound accurate.
Say it again, bro.
Watashi wa boden desu.
Why? But I'm looking here. It says proper noun. You start with proper noun first. Why isn't it voted? Whatever.
You're not going to places.
Which one were we on?
You're going to boat?
I'm doing that example.
No, I'm doing
One load.
I'm doing this one.
It says it in English. Right?
What's the answer? Oh, no.
Now.
And they conjugate it properly with this because it's a verb. Ikimasu. I'm not gonna like tell you everything, but that's the polite way of saying I'm going. Ikimasu. So if you wanna say like you're going to a friend's house, you can say Tomodachi no ie ni ikimasu. So it'll be friend's house ni ikimasu.
You get this? You get this?
Of course, bro.
I'm trying to keep up.
I don't know if I'm making it like too hard or is it?
It's too easy.
Well, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to keep up, I'll be honest, but the
Is
only I got is one before that.
I'm not making no sense, or is it just like it's a lot to take in?
It's a
Oh
lot.
yeah, it's just
There's a lot to take.
First time hearing, so.
So, for our purposes, iku is only for going. So you always say like, I'm going over there. Something ni iku.
But on tours, I'm trying to go to McDonald's. How I say that?
Maku ni ikitai. Or maku ikimasu. I'm going.
Okay. See, that's simple.
So that's, I'm going to McDonald's. Like, that's not even a question. That's just you saying, I'm going.
How do I make it a question? I assume you're supposed to-
So, yes, for when you're being like casual with someone, it's like English where you inflect your last word.
Okay.
So you're like, do you know how to go there? It goes, do you know how to go there? I'll say it in Japanese too. Maku ni iku.
Iku? Okay.
It just goes up.
Iku.
That's the come. Like, are you coming? Or I'm coming. So you use that when you're telling someone else, you're already at the place, like, for example, we're already all here, and we ask Jackie if he's coming. We say, Jackie, something, friend's house, ni kuru? And the kanji would probably be kimasu ka or kimasu. Kimasu. And if you want to make a question, you would make it to the polite form. For our purposes, you make it polite, and you add ka to the end, and then we say question. A universal question everyone will know. So it'd be like, friend's house ni kimasu ka? Are you gonna come over? And that's just for going places. There's no iku is going, kuru is coming. People usually mix it up because it's weird to have two different things that you're not used to. Any questions on the slide? So this is a common list of adjectives that I found online. So we could use the constructions I just gave you for like super basic stuff like chisai is small. Yeah. Kawaii is cute.
I don't know that word.
Okay.
I'll get that one.
Like omoshiroi is funny, but omoshiroi also, besides funny, it means interesting too. So a lot of these words can have double meanings depending on how you want to interpret it when you translate it.
Andy, go.
They bring it to the door.
All right.
Since we got Andy.
I'll take it, yeah.
So, alright. Let's take a break, I guess. Or you guys want to keep going?
Yeah, we'll eat after the pain. Let's go.
Okay, so the next one is atarashi, which is new. Isogashi, which is busy. Hatsui, which is hot. Kirei, which is beautiful.
What's not?
Na. So in Japanese, there's two kinds of adjectives you have. There's e adjectives and non-adjectives. The only thing about them is how you connect them to the verb, or not connect
Can we put this on the inside?
adjectives, or connect the adjectives, or connect the adjectives to a noun. So like, if you want to say like, you have your friend has a small house, or this is a small house, you would say chisai, and then house, for our purposes. If you use like for small, like a small house, like chisai, house.
You mean not on that one?
No, because that's an e, it ends at e.
Oh, okay.
So that's what it means by e adjectives and non adjectives. But as like every language, there's exceptions to words, and kirei just falls into one of them. So instead of kirei house, it's kirei na house.
Oh. Just sorry, just.
Oh, so it has to come with the nah.
It has to.
It has to. Okay. Interesting.
How did that come apart? Just like, any idea? Okay. Just a random rule.
It's just the rules of the language.
What if you don't say no as a disrespectful?
Yeah, what was that?
No, like they'll understand you. Like they'll know that you're learning, and it ends in the same pattern that you usually see, like chisai, kawaii, omoshiroi. But you just need na. They're not gonna be like, oh, well they might be like, oh, you're wrong. This is what you're supposed to say. If you're in like the environment that you want to learn. If you're not, and you're a tourist, you're talking to someone, and you say that, they're like, oh, I still get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And they'll help you out still. Or they'll like, oh, you're right, it is. And they'll say it again, but the proper way, like sort of slide it in.
Yeah.
So you just maybe if you're ready or not,
Yeah.
tell somebody.
You mean kirei? No, I'm not kirei.
So you can use these for the basic constructions of like this first one right here. If it makes sense, that depends on what adjective you use, of course. But
How do you say you are?
you are.
Like if you want to tell someone they're like small.
Oh no, wouldn't it be like kawaii? Like I've heard, like I watch anime, so like I remember hearing like kawaii desune or kawaii desune or
So
something like that.
that's
What
what
does that
they
mean?
kawaii.
Yeah, kawaii desune.
Well, kawaii is pretty okay.
Where it's cute.
Kawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you say you are cute?
I don't know kawaii is name. So
Oh, complex.
so the thing is, there's levels of formality, which I'm gonna get to in the later slides. But levels of formality and how you address someone too. You can be rude, or you could be like polite, or you can be super polite. you address like, you don't want to call someone like you specifically sometimes, or most of the time in Japanese, you want to say their name. So if I were calling like Boden wa kawaii desu ne, like,
If you don't know their name, are you asking names?
or you say anata no, anata. Anata is you. I don't remember if that's formal or not, but we use anata usually. And you just use the same construction. Anata wa, adjective or verb, plus des. Or deshita if you're being like rude. You were, but not anymore.
Oh,
Like, kawaii deshita. Like,
So
you
the word
were
would be rude at the same time.
so
Like,
it works, dude. You're not getting no.
Dang.
You know, that's like super simple. Like, I don't know if that's like correct way to say it, but you could say it like that. If you wanted to mean that. Did I answer your question?
yes.
Okay.
So I would say like if you're not, so if I would tell you you're not busy, it would be anata wa himara. Himana. What does that say?
Hima.
Hima.
So, na is like to join the adjective to a noun. So, the na is just a conjoining thing. I don't know if you heard when I said it, but there's e adjectives and na adjectives in Japanese. And e adjectives usually just end with the e at the end, so it's super easy for noun. And then if it doesn't end in e, you add na to it. It does the same function of like just describing something. But in Japanese, there's exceptions to the rule where some e adjectives are actually not adjectives, even though they end in that same pattern. So, since hima doesn't have an e at the end, you have to add na to conjunct.
No pronunciation. So it's perfect.
No, it's the
Like, you're supposed to be ready to.
Oh, with
There's
the, oh, my bad.
English,
My bad.
Japanese.
Got it. Never mind, my bad.
Hiya.
You can't read the
Hiya.
characters, bro?
Hiya.
Hi-ya. He said hi-ya.
What does it say, how you?
Yeah, it would be the same.
Oh, yeah, fast and
Oh.
slow.
Huh?
It means fast and early. What did you say? Kung fu? This guy.
That's a fast go.
Hiya.
Oh,
Yes, you're quick.
so yeah. So, well, we can go through all these words if you want, but the thing is, sometimes you see like two words for just, there's one Japanese word, but there's two English words. That's because the Japanese, they have a lot of homonyms, where they have the same word, or the same spelling, but different meaning. So, for this, if you only use characters like this, like katakana, hiragana, you'd have to base it on context of what they're trying to say. But sometimes that's not enough. So when you go to like higher level Japanese, or you're in Japan for some reason, or you're reading Japanese text for either it's online or something, they use kanji, and that tells you what kind of meaning they want to interpret to you, like based off writing, not just like verbally. I didn't put any characters on because I didn't more confused. Any questions about this? So these are basic formalities and basic phrases. Greetings, good morning, ohayo gozaimasu. A super formal, ohayo gozaimasu.
Which parts of that word is good and morning like is that like
It's
or
good.
down? Okay.
Morning is good.
So morning is
So it's,
Ohio.
Ohio is morning.
Okay.
Gozaimasu is just
Gozaimasu.
it's just a phrase that I don't remember how they use it, but it's just to be like a respectful way of ending something. That's just a respectful ending that they use. The next is konnichiwa. Konnichiwa.
Isn't konnichiwa like that?
No, I just wrote good afternoon.
good afternoon, man.
So
Thought it meant hello.
it does mean hello,
Huh.
but
So it's weird how good afternoon and good morning is different. Why is it just not switching the morning and afternoon part and then have the same good?
Yeah.
because the words are different. It's same. It's like Chinese. They're different, right?
No, cause good afternoon and good evening is shared, right? But then good morning is just like.
He's referring to the good part of
Yeah.
both words.
Why is good not both?
Yeah, why is good not the same in both Ohio gozaimasu and konnichiwa?
Oh, because
That's just how it is.
yeah, I would say that's how it is. But these are, I would give it like a loose,
Oh, I see.
a flexible and literal translation to English.
What's the most literal translation of those Japanese words?
Well, how was Amasu like it is just good morning. Like it says the sun is here or something.
Oh,
That's cool. I like that.
the sun is here.
Oh.
You say that.
The sun is here.
Then for konnichiwa, it's good afternoon for our translation, but it really means today. Wow, that's it.
Yeah.
today.
That's literally,
Today.
it's like today.
Indeed.
That's literally, that's,
You're not wrong.
if you do the literal translation, just today. It's konnichiwa. Konbanwa is this evening, really just this evening. Kon means now, ban means evening. If you're, huh?
The evening is now.
Yeah, that's so that's the actual literal translation. And then good night is oyasumi nasai.
Oyasumi.
So if I break this down too, it sounds sort of weird, but the ending, the oyasumi is the night part. And then nasai is, if you read like a linguistics book, it'll tell you it's like you should do this. Please have a good time doing this, or like it's a command to do this. Like go to sleep, but in a very polite way.
So aggressive.
If I remembering that correctly, it means like go to sleep.
Let's say goodbye to someone in the afternoon, bro.
You can say whatever you want. But this is the most polite way of saying it. You can stop at oyasumi if you're like with friends, and it's just still good night. They'll understand. Farewells, like we said, tonight, jamata, mean see you later. But when you say sayonara, it means like goodbye.
Oh.
Forever?
That's what
You know, goodbye.
Oh,
Isn't
man.
there like another one where, because then I remember in 7th grade they say sayonara to goodbye for like a long time. Isn't that one for like goodbye for now?
That's obsolete. That's what's
Wasn't that sort of like see you later?
Yeah.
Jamata.
No, see you later is more friendly. It's like you
Yeah.
say see you later, but
Like in
goodbye
English,
is
you
like,
wouldn't,
but
in
never
English you don't
see
say
you.
goodbye usually. You say see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
You say, would you say see you tomorrow, see you later, or be careful or something?
So if you're talking to someone you don't know, would you say sayonara?
You can still, I would argue you still say jamata. Well, I would say jamata still. That's personally I would say. Probably the right one to say is sayonara, like being super like respectful to them still. Like maybe we'll see you again, but you know, probably not if we're strangers.
Mm.
And then, like I said earlier, speech patterns. Or do you have any questions about the greetings and farewells? Speech patterns are they differ on who you talk to. If you're talking to your boss, you speak super politely. Super polite, like they're God is how you talk to them. Like you show the difference in your level of status. Of you're the boss, you're the worker.
Damn.
It's a dependent relationship, like I just said, and it's also based off social views. When I say social views, you can say it's like chain of command pretty much for you guys. It'd be like your boss is up here, you're here.
Oh, pure, bro. I'm above him.
And then, where it goes like that. If you're talking to your boss and you're a different level than him, you're supposed to speak respectfully and use like respectful conjugations, respectful language, and everything. Super passive tones. If you're talking to someone of the same level of you, like your friends, you can be casual, you can be like whatever. And if you speak to someone like below you, you think is below you, you speak really rude. I don't know how many examples of that right now, but for a simple explanation would be like instead of using like for good morning, Ohio gozaimasu, you say Ohio. Or you can say anything if you're like trying to be rude to them.
Oh, interesting. And so like those subtle cues let people know like you don't really like think highly of them.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Like, a lot is conveyed through.
What if you treat everyone like God, even though they have babies?
Even
Would
though
it be
it's
offensive to them?
not offensive to them because you're treating them better. That's weird. That's like, well, it could be sarcastic too, but it'd be weird. Like, if you say in a sarcastic tone, they're gonna know, like English too. But it'd be weird for them to take offense. No, they'd be confused on why we do it. They'd be confused like why you would use such respectful language for me. Like we're on the same level though, like we're strangers on the street. Why would you use such respectful language to me if we're both strangers? We're not like superior and like worker. Trying to say you're
Yeah, thank you for talking about that.
So what's the rude way to say good morning?
You just don't add gozaimasu to it. Or you don't say anything. It's not rude, it's really casual. But I guess you could say like boss is like just a hello. It's not even saying good morning. It's just hey.
Spit on the ground.
Wait, so saying Ohio isn't a bad thing?
To friends, no.
Oh, okay.
If you're you're somewhat buddy with your boss, he might be peeved, but you know, he might understand it still. It's like you go to the principal union, you would just say, hey Lovering, how you doing? If she still works there.
Hey, love.
You would say,
Tired.
hey Miss Lovering, good morning. Like, you get it though, right?
Yeah, I get it.
It's like the exact same. Except they just have like more stricter way of showing formalities and stuff.
So if I say good morning, James, would I put James at the end or the beginning?
Just matter.
Oh, in this case it doesn't?
No, because it's so short and so implied it doesn't really matter. Like if you both know how to like word it properly, it doesn't matter how you order the thing. Just sounds weird or not. But it doesn't matter for this one. You could say like Kamensan, Ohio gozaimasu, or conference or Ohio gozaimasu, Kamensan. It doesn't matter. It's just changing the order for the same effect. Any questions? Oh, like I said earlier, colloquial speaking is always different. Same as English, same as like in America. There's different dialects. There's the words you drop. There's words you combine together. So for example, slang, I guess. For English, there's pop, there's cola, there's soda. We use soda. The East Coast uses like pop or something. I don't know if we use cola. Particles are a big thing. Like I said earlier, they drop them. If both speakers are very fluent and like they know what they drop, but you don't drop them when you talk to superiors usually, depending on like where you are in the sentence. But it's just for the future if you guys take it still. Their dialects, they are based off the region. There's a couple regions in Japan. The main language that everybody teaches and learns in Japan is the dialect used in Tokyo, which is standard dialect. So everyone should know it, but if you're from Tokyo and you go out, you might have a little trouble understanding if you never like studied or listened or heard the other dialects before. It's like us going to the south and we hear them. These common mistakes in Japanese, or do you guys have any questions about this?
Oh, how many different dialects are there?
I honestly don't know.
Is that number shrinking probably, or?
I don't think it's shrinking. I think because Japan, unlike America, I feel is much more into their roots and the history of where they're born. So they like to preserve and like keep carrying along what they learned and what their families and ancestors did. So they have to bring history along with them as they go up. You know, they change their language a bit, but for the most part, it's still similar.
So someone from like all the way in the north can understand someone from all the way in the south, generally?
Yes, generally it should. Because you know, not like everything changes. They might have slang that they don't use, but if they were both to like speak perfectly fluent Japanese to each other, or yeah, they would understand each other no problem. Probably, that's my best guess right now. Should know all. And common mistakes in Japanese for people just learning, or even people that have learned for a little bit but not completely fluent, are they use the wrong particles a lot. I myself do this a lot. I mix up particles because there's just so many to use that to find the right one and you're like learning still, it's hard to pick out which one you're supposed to use. But sometimes that's not the case because you didn't add that particle. So they won't know that's a question, they just know it's a statement now. And dropping des or mas and changing it in the correct form is supposed to be in also makes it very casual. So like if you say like, if Boden were to say, watashi wa Boden, that's very casual, very informal, and you know, you would get a few sprightly looks if you're talking to people that you didn't know or you're somewhat superior. They'd be confused on why you're not being polite. Unless they knew that you weren't native. But we're all Asian, we look Asian, so you sort of screwed out that one. And then grammatical order is mixed up. I said that you can change it around, but to be like properly, using it properly and speaking Japanese properly, of course there's a grammatical order you're supposed to follow. And since we're English learners, we have it flipped compared to them. So it takes us a little bit more effort to remember and memorize how to use it. Subjects are often omitted incorrectly. What I mean by this is, there's a sort of rule you can use, or there's a sort of rule in the language that lets you know when you can omit an object. in the middle object usually if it's both inferred and you're still talking about it in succession. If you break it off out of anywhere and it's like you go from one subject to another, you have to say the entire thing again. And if you don't, people are going to be confused on what you're trying to refer to. Any questions for that?
Do you want to pick up?
Who is it?
Lena.
Hang on.
Where you at?
Wow.
Intermission, guys. Intermission. What the hell? This came for
It's
dinner.
already done!
It's on the last slide.
Oh, this is the last slide?
Is it?
Oh, we just
Here, I'll send you the address.
got
Oh no. Oh, it's because my phone's on the sofa.
It's a White House.
It's a great house.
It's not white, bro.
It's the blue house.
Jeez, that long here?
The door's open. Just
Yeah,
walk
the
into the
door's
blue
open.
house.
Someone we're all speaking Japanese.
Konnichiwa, dude.
Konnichiwa, dude.
Oh, she. Anyway, are there any more questions about this, or I'm just curious.
How many more slides are you giving me a break?
Well, if you guys want a break, we can wait for Lena to do on the last slide.
Oh, dude, is
Is
this
it really the last
slide?
Oh no, I think I have one more slide.
Oh,
Yeah, so.
We'll save it for now.
yeah.
Graphic break.
Let's look at that pizza here.
If you're gonna go like that's the liberal organization, like to make it make sense in English. Arigato gozaimasu, like literally is like thank you for hard work. Or you have worked very hard, that's what it is. Or you have suffered a lot.
We have suffered a lot.
Oh
Yeah.
my
But
god.
the character that when you use kanji for it, it's the character for have in Chinese, which is yo or yao for Chinese, and then it's man, like hold on, like it's hard.
Jeez, you know Chinese.
You guys did.
Yeah.
You suffered so much.
I'm pretty sure that's like the literal translation. I'm like 80% sure.
So you also fluent in Chinese. I don't know.
Any questions, other questions? And the last slide is the culture one that I saw some people say they wanted. Respect is, I talked about that earlier, and like I said earlier, typically you lower oneself compared to the other if you're in like a work setting or like you're in a family setting that is very strict on like rank. So if you're a worker and you see a customer, you would lower yourself and use like respectful language to the customer because you know, the customer is bad or hate.
Does the customer lower themselves to below the worker?
No.
Is that dynamic? Imagine that.
All the way down here.
Usually what most customers do is they speak like respectfully, but not super respectfully. They use the very commonly used polite language. If not, like they're trying to be rude, they use very casual language where they're just not conjugating anything. The culture in Japan is pretty much one for all. It's like the benefit of the community is better than the benefit of yourself only. They're very collective. If like someone, like if a big accident happened, they would all go and try help. They're traditional to a degree, like I said earlier. They like to carry traditions, they like to go on about it. They know the history of the city they lived in, of their country they're living in. But that doesn't mean to say that they don't like to evolve and try to make new things for the time period they're in. Question?
Is it more traditional in Tokyo or is it less?
It depends where you go. Because Japan, Tokyo is such a, I would say, hotspot for everything that's going on in Japan. Like everyone goes to Tokyo. The airport's pretty much right next. Well, not even that.
There's only one airport in Japan.
There's two. There's a few.
Wait, two.
But the international ones you would go to are like in Osaka or in Tokyo. So it just depends because Tokyo and Osaka are like the biggest places in Japan that you would go to first when you're flying over. And then you would take a layover to take a domestic flight to anywhere else in Japan you want to fly. So the places that are big, what's it called, like international friendly places are traditional to an extent, but they're also very changed to match the times.
speak Japanese when you went? Pretty much?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you only speak Japanese when you were here?
No, they try to speak English too. Like if some people speak English, it's easier to say you speak English too. And you know, if they don't, then you guys place rates and use whatever
They sure hate you.
English and Japanese you know.
Sign language.
Yeah, so that's completely true. That's the same for any other country you go to though if you don't know the language.
Yeah, but did you speak Japanese to everybody?
Oh, well, I try to.
Was it good?
Well, it's hard because speaking a language and knowing a language are two different things. I don't know if you guys understand that. Like, you could, for us, we could know Chinese. Like, we could know Chinese and we could hear and understand perfectly fine. But we cannot output it ourselves because we haven't used it ourselves that much. And that's the same for all languages. Like, if you're learning one completely new, you're going to know how everything works grammatically, you're going to be able to break it down, but when you're trying to say it yourself, you're going to fumble around looking for the right words, right particles, right everything you use. So it's still harder. It takes a little more time than just reading a book to speak everything out. And it's really good at learning.
Do you listen better?
Yes,
Oh, so you understand what people are saying?
more or less. Because when you're trying to learn a new language, what you want to do is listen for like 60 to 70% of the entire context, and then build your own context around it to make sense of it. It's different because we learn English for so long that everything just connects like that, where it's 100% understandability. But when you're learning a new language, or like you're not fluent in it, you pick up certain words that make sense to you. Like for Chinese, I'm just guessing that not everyone here is fluent in Chinese, that's why. You listen for specific words and it's like, oh, they want me to clean the bathroom. And you like skip every other word that like doesn't have to do with the bathroom, but you know you have to go do something for them. So that's the same with how you're learning a new language. Unless you're fluent, then you know, you just go willy-nilly and omit whatever you want.
Have you learned any other languages other than Japanese? Or
I took ASL in Russian.
okay, so like I'm really curious, honestly, like if you were to compare like Japanese, learning Japanese to like learning Russian or learning Chinese, which would be like the easiest for you out of the three?
The easiest? Reading, writing, understanding Russian is the easiest out of the three because in Russian there's only 33 characters you need to memorize. And out of those 33 characters, there's only so many combinations you have, and they only have so many conjugations there are, compared to Japanese and Chinese. There aren't many in Chinese really, but in Japanese there's a few, but Russian is the easiest to read, write, and probably just reading, right? Understand just a little bit. And if you can't order R's, you sort of fuck, so. I can't order R's, so I'm sort of.
For Japanese?
No, for Russian.
Oh.
Japanese is a very flat language, like
Yeah.
very straight to the point, very stuck with the syllable you have. And Chinese that's hard because writing is almost impossible.
But is writing easier in Japanese than it is in Chinese?
Yes, because you can fall back on the two scripts you have.
There's phonetics, dude. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like what the character sounds, whatever it sounds like.
Yeah.
Can't guess.
So Japanese is
That's true.
a lot easier than Chinese, like reading wise, because you don't have to memorize all the kanji or all the Chinese characters. But to some degree you do, but to a lesser degree.
What about like Spanish, do you think? Would it be
I've never taken Spanish, so I can't answer that.
Spanish?
I was hearing my friends like, there's a lot of. But the difference is like, learning a language is hard because you need to figure out how many conjugations and how many like special rules they have for that language. And if you don't figure that out, you will never master a language pretty much.
True.
Alright.
Any questions?
How was your trip?
Trip wasn't bad. I enjoyed most of it. I didn't want to go sightseeing too much. I just wanted to eat food, which I did. I ate. All of my family went to one of the top 2 or top 1 eel restaurants in Japan. Like they were known historically. Like they had their own history in their meal or their menu. Like the first pages wasn't even the food. It was how they originated, what they're known for, and how they stayed in this or something. I didn't read it clearly, but my friend did.
Was it Japanese?
Yeah, it's Japanese. He's going to see Japanese. And then they sure caught me out on money because one of the menu options was to buy us pretty much a set meal. And they came out in like a buffet or a banquet. The thing is, you need 2 people to order it, or else you can't order it alone,
Aw.
unless you order both of them. So, since it was just us 2, and he wanted that, I was like, okay, we'll both get it. So I was down $60. No, $70. I'm sorry.
Was it good?
It was great. Would send it again. Probably the best deal I've ever had.
Alright. How did you prepare it?
All kinds of without pictures.
Cool. Put it up on the TV.
Oh no, dude.
Should we break for dinner?
I'll show you pictures later.
He's in